Okay. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
I'm muting me now.
Okay. All sounds good then.
Yep.
And now for our feature presentation.
He'll be fire on the mountain.
JB and Darren on the JB and Goldwater Show.
Line drive right field, base hit. South Carolina wins the College World Series.
Watson, touchdown! Hunter Renfrow.
He got him, and it's all over. Coastal Carolina rules the roost. They win the championship. And South Carolina has won the national championship.
The Senegal baseball team has done it again, but this time the Bulldogs beat one of the top teams in the country. They are giant killers. Get the ball to Bennett. He does.
Gamecocks are in the Final Four.
That sound. We all know that sound. We love that sound. That's the sound of kids playing baseball. It's a kid's game. The kids turn into boys and then into men. We'll see the men in October. For now, we get to watch the boys play. Major League Baseball returns. It's opening day. Yeah, that sounds pretty good too. Welcome back, baseball.
Machado. Gotcha. To right center field. Revere on the run, and he reaches out. He makes the catch. Uh-oh, that was loud. Bradley going back. Triangle. Leaps. Oh, he made the catch. He robs Aaron Judge.
Breaky pitch out toward left. Going back on it is. Gone! A big fly. And he got it. A no-hitter for Mcfadden.
Cunha swings. It's a high drive to left center field. Taylor back at the wall. It is gone. A grand slam for Acuna.
Greetings and good afternoon, and welcome aboard the JB and Goldwater Show, live, loud, and online, and driven by our friends and yours at Stokes Volkswagen. Find them at stokesvw.com. Find us on the JB and Goldwater app. Download that into your phone. You can watch and listen to our program daily in its entirety. And if you happen to miss one of our programs, you can always go back and watch and listen as well across all social media platforms at JB and Goldwater, individually at Sports Media JB and at Darren Goldwater. 843-321-8893 is our phone number. It is also our text line, and you can be a part of our program by just plugging your message into that number and send it our way, or whatever chat room you might have pulled up, whether it's Facebook, maybe you're on Twitter. Darren can put all of those on our screen right here, and you can be a part of our program until 2 o'clock this afternoon. Between now and then, we've got breaking news to get to in hoops. Obviously, it is opening day in Major League Baseball. We'll talk about plenty of those storylines with Cory McCartney at 12:30 this afternoon. Nobody better to talk opening day than Cory McCartney. We've got John Whittle at 1:05 this afternoon with thebigspur.com. We'll get into some Carolina baseball and basketball with him as well. And then Scott Glaze at 1:30. We'll talk to Scott. There's a lot going on in the golf world, and this is going to be a really fun conversation with Anwa playing this weekend. That's the women's amateur in Augusta. Obviously, we're a week out from the Masters. We've got other golf being played. We've got announcements that pertain to the Heritage and much, much more. So we hope that you'll stick around for that. But first and foremost, good afternoon, my dear friend, Darren Goldwater.
Look, it's still a great day and a great afternoon, even though the Nats and Mets have been postponed for COVID. I can get over that for a day. I mean, as excited as I've been for this day for I don't know how many weeks, I can push through that because baseball is back. And we'll get to see the Nationals soon. But we have 13 other games that are going to be played because the Orioles, I guess it's a Metro DC thing, Orioles and Red Sox postponed because of like sprinkles up in Boston. So 2 games off the docket today.
Well, that's okay. At least we have opening day. We did not have opening day last year.
Yes.
We did, but it wasn't until
it wasn't real.
June 23rd or something like that. It was a while. But this time it's April 1st. It is also April Fool's Day. And I kept thinking to myself throughout the morning as news was breaking, what are people doing? And when you're in pandemic times, you can't play with people like this. But no, the news that was breaking this morning was real. We were scheduled to lead off with opening day today and a bunch of stuff to get into with that. But we do need to lead off with hoops. The big news is from Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Roy Williams has announced his retirement after 33 years as a head coach, of course, coaching 2 of the Blue Bloods, literally in color and in stature in the sport in Kansas, and obviously most recently with North Carolina. Darren, this is something, there have been a couple of folks, I would say, I don't want to say halfway through the basketball season, but maybe the latter half, who whispered at times, Roy Williams, it just seems like he might be close. But I never gave any credence to any of that. You just don't know. Roy Williams has been in a great spot in his entire tenure at North Carolina. But today he has announced that that's it for him. He does have a home here in Charleston still. He often actually comes down to see his good buddy, Chad Holbrook, who's the head baseball coach at the College of Charleston. And he's going to step aside as the basketball coach in North Carolina. Quickly, Darren, I want to run down his accomplishments. Almost 1,000.
Not going to be that quick.
No, but almost 1,000 wins in his career. Almost an 800 winning percentage, which is just remarkable in basketball. It's just remarkable. Obviously, 3 national championships, 9 Final Fours, 9 ACC regular season titles, 3 tournament titles in the ACC, 4 Big 12 regular season championships, 3 Big 12 tournament championships at Kansas, 5 Big 8 championships. Obviously, that was before they went to the Big 12. They did win a Big 8 tournament. He's been the national coach of the year multiple times, league coach of the year multiple times. He is a National Basketball Hall of Famer already. He's one of the what do you think, top 5 head basketball coaches ever in the sport?
Yeah, he's on the list. He's on the Mount Rushmore. There's no doubt.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And obviously, it's time for him to step aside. So, from a just a sports side, this is one of those to me, Darren, that in due time, in 20 or 30 years, when we're telling stories to our grandkids, his name will come up in the record book somewhere. There will be a highlight with his teams. and we'll be able to say things like, we got to watch Roy Williams coach basketball. That was in our prime as human beings. And he's one of those guys that will, like our grandparents. Oh, I got Casey Stengel or John Wooden. And you wonder, well, man, what was that like? Well, people are going to say the same thing about Roy Williams. And it's just what a run. What a run.
So this may catch some folks off guard that Roy Williams announced his retirement. The timing to me was a little odd because there have been rumblings throughout the year, specifically later in the year, that Williams was leaning this way. Not that he was considering, but actually leaning this way for a couple of reasons. Number one, he's 70. Number two, the accomplishments you've just rattled off there. So there's nothing left to prove. Number three, the trend of college basketball, the transfer portal, the name, image, and likeness. There are things within the college game that a guy who's this accomplished may not want to really deal with. So it was about a month ago, and I briefly touched on it on this show and didn't go too deep into detail because when I heard it, and even still now, kind of smirk at it, but it does make a lot of sense. I heard about a month ago that what Roy Williams wants, now is it going to happen? I don't know. What Roy Williams wants is Wes Miller to replace him, UNC Greensboro's head coach. He is a prodigal son of North Carolina. He is very close with Roy Williams. Williams has been very, very good to Wes Miller and UNCG these last couple of years, even taking his team to go play at UNCG, which is not something that you typically see the Tar Heels do in state to a lower division opponent. That's not typical at all, but he has done that at least once, I believe twice. And these wheels are spinning. If they're going to keep it in the family, Wes Miller and Hubert Davis are the two names that you're going to hear repeatedly until one of them is hired as the head coach.
Yeah, both of those names have already popped up today. I look at this much differently than that. By the way, the other breaking news today, Chris Beard has left Texas Tech and is departed for Austin. He'll take over the Longhorns program. What that means for Texas Tech, who knows? But there might be an interesting twist to that. We'll talk to John Whittle about that at 1:05 this afternoon with thebigspur.com. But back to Roy Williams here. Well, you weren't necessarily giving your thoughts on what you thought was best for the program. You were stating that there are some real facts in this, and those are factual comments.
Yes.
My stance on this job, if anybody even cares what my stance is that North Carolina is a top 3 job, top 4 job, top 5 job. We know it's a top 5 job.
Maybe top 1. It's one of the premier gigs in the country. No doubt.
Okay. Yeah, no doubt about it. But for a coach, it's a 50-50 job. And here's what I mean by that. The expectations every year to win the national championship. But it's North Carolina. It recruits itself. You've got every resource in the world available to you to build your program, to recruit players, whatever it may be. So you know that the commitment is there in basketball. Anything you ask for, you're going to get it. If you need 4 extra floor sweepers during halftime, they're going to give you 8. It doesn't matter what you ask for. They're going to give you more than what you asked for. So that's what makes it a great job. But what I mean by 50-50 job is the same thing as Alabama in football. Mm-hmm. You got to be the right person to step into that type of job because failure there is not 20-10. Failure there is not 500. Failure there is 20-10. They want to see the 25-5s every year and into the Final Four. They want to see the Sweet 16 appearances. They want to see every few years a national championship. That's what they want to see at North Carolina. And so while I agree with you, and I think that both of those gentlemen are excellent head coaches, and I think that both of them are going to be heavily in the mix for this gig, I do think that North Carolina will and should conduct a national search for anybody that they want. It might be an NBA coach. It might be Coach K, for all we know. Anybody that they want, they need to make an effort to go get, not just because Roy Williams thinks that this guy is the best guy for the job or because he's in the, quote, UNC family. This is North Carolina basketball. If you want the guy that coaches the daggum Lakers, then you call him. He might tell you no, probably will tell you no, but you call him and you make every effort to get whoever the hell you want to get. It's North Carolina.
It's been hard to pry Brad Stevens away from the Celtics, right? But you make that call, you should. You make the call to Porter Moser, you should. Chris Beard, who has a long history of jumping quickly. He was at UNLV for like a month. Texas Tech, he was at for 5 years, which is a really long time for Chris Beard. I don't think Beard jumps at this job. I don't think they reach out. But do you go after the top names? Yeah, I think of the names you mentioned, Coach K is probably the only guy that would say, nope, not a chance.
Yeah.
And then, other than that, who's off the table? Nobody's off the table, which is why a month ago when I heard keep an eye for Roy Williams to retire and Wes Miller to replace him, I laughed. I said, come on. I understand how well Wes Miller has done these last couple of years, but don't you need a little bit more experience before you take one of the biggest pressure cooker, Darren Stoltzfus, jobs in the country at North Carolina? Do you need a little bit more behind you? I tend to think yes. And I think Wes Miller's a great guy and a great coach, but keep an eye on it, because if Roy Williams wants it to happen, he tends to get a lot of things he wants.
Well, you just hit the nail on the head, and I'm not going to sit here and say who they should or shouldn't hire. I'm not in any way, shape, or form educated or qualified enough to say whether a guy like Wes Miller would step into that chair and fail or succeed and maybe be the next Roy Williams. I have no idea, but it is certainly, and obviously North Carolina, Darren, let's be honest with this, right? They've had a hunch this was coming. They've been preparing for this, I'm sure, for quite some time.
Yes.
And so, but so they have a list, but my point is that, which I agree with you. I think we're making the exact same point here, is that you go after whoever you want to go after and make sure that you run this search full scale, full circle, and whoever you put in that chair, that they understand what chair they're sitting in and how difficult it is, because the last couple of weeks on a different scale around here, we've sat here and talked about South Carolina baseball and how fans get off their rocker when they lose a game. It's baseball. Yep. You lose about 20, 25 of those a year, just an FYI. And that's in a 60-game season, basically. In North Carolina, it's worse when you lose one game against Duke, and they could be number one in the country. So it's the pressure cooker of all pressure cookers. You got to be a special type of person to handle that gig. And so, you take your shot and you go, and you know what, at the end of the day, they might find that somebody like a Wes Miller or a Hubert Davis is exactly what they need. They can carry that full load on their shoulders. They can recruit, they can coach, they can handle the alumni and drink the special wine and eat the special cheese and all this, that, and the other up there. And that's exactly who they need to have. We don't have that answer. We don't know that answer. But North Carolina certainly understands who they are in the realm of college basketball, and I have no doubt they will go out and they'll search, and they will do – this will be as thorough of a basketball search as we've seen in years in at this level in the sport.
I want to believe that, but at the same time, this thought keeps just not moving in my head. The thought of who's more powerful in North Carolina than Roy Williams. Like, maybe it's Coach K, or maybe they're on the same footing. I wouldn't say it's either of those two athletic directors. So this didn't happen without prior knowledge on the inside. My guess is wheels have turned already, and there have been, whether they are formal or informal, let's say informal conversations with some people already. My guess is that's happened. And where do you go from here? I don't know. Aaron just chimed in. Does Nate Oates get a call? Look, if it's a national search, Nate Oates has to get a call, right? He has to, because of what he was able to do as quickly as he did it at Alabama. It's not like you're going into a roster that's completely depleted, even though North Carolina wasn't at its best this year. It's still North Carolina. But my guess is, and this is just a guess, that inside those circles, I mean, if the outside world knew that there was a possibility Roy Williams was retiring, the inside world absolutely knew. And the wheels have been turning, and they have been actively monitoring the situation and sending feelers out. So, Mark Few is another name that jumps to mind. Would he ever leave Gonzaga? He has said over and over how he loves Spokane and just the type of life that it gives him out there. He's turned him into a national power. Does he have to leave? Does he want to leave? I don't know, but you got to make that call, right?
Oh, you have to call Mark Few, I think, right?
I think, unless
why would you?
Unless Roy Williams has made it known, and it's almost a done deal whichever way they go. And I don't know that to be true, but it also wouldn't surprise me.
I'll tell you another interesting angle to this search is, what type of role will Michael Jordan have? And I would like to think that North Carolina is probably going to knock on the door of Michael Jordan. Hey, man, what do you think? Is there an NBA guy? Is there somebody you've crossed paths with? Maybe they've already talked about this. Probably have. We're probably 6 months behind the 8 ball here. You know what I mean? But I would like to think a guy like Michael Jordan probably has some type of, he might not want influence, but he has it. He might not want to be involved in the search. He might not want to give them his opinion. I don't know with MJ, but if you're North Carolina, you are probably going to lean on him a lot for a lot of different things. I'd be interested to see what that relationship's like.
The whole process is going to be fascinating, and the speed at which it wraps up. We're heading into the Final Four, right? So this is prime time for coaches to be gathering and talking and making some moves. But this one to me feels different. It doesn't feel as though this came as a shock to North Carolina. It came as a shock to the college basketball world that wasn't really in tune to some of the whispers that he was probably going to retire, or at least leaning that way.
Right.
The average fan saw this and like, come on, it's April 1st. There's no way that's true. My instant reaction when I saw it is, wow, it finally happened. It never occurred to me that it was April 1st. My first thought was, okay, it finally happened, because I figured if it would happen, it would have happened sooner. My gut, just from being around the game, my gut tells me one of the reasons it happened now is to put things in place prior to it happening. That's my sense.
How many coaches convene at the Final Four this year?
All of them. Yeah. I mean, everyone who can. I don't know what the limitations are with COVID, in terms of how many can go.
Yeah, but they can't just stop coaches from still coming there and buying a ticket on their own accord.
And it's not just head coaches. Like every coach in the business,
agents, everybody. Yeah,
everybody. The Final Four is a giant, job search, or you can view it as such for some.
Right. Yeah, that's my point. I mean, the timing is certainly interesting, and this is going to be a lot of the conversation during the broadcast of the Final Four. But these people are all getting together in Indianapolis this week, and this job is open. So I'd be interested to see what that means behind the scenes. But it is a fascinating development in college hoops, Darren, with Roy Williams and obviously now Chris Beard taking the job at Texas, and the carousel continues to spin in this sport with Texas. Who is Texas Tech eyeing for that position? I know some folks might think that I'm a little bit crazy here because people don't want to see past what's happened recently, but is Frank Martin a realistic candidate maybe at Texas Tech? Would he be interested in that job? Keep in mind, Frank Martin's career goes a hell of a lot further than the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look what he did at Kansas State, and obviously taking South Carolina to the Final Four. There's a lot of people out there that like his accomplishments. They like Frank Martin.
Very much so. And I think, and like we talked with JC about this yesterday, I think if you're Frank Martin, are you interested in a job? I think you're absolutely interested in most jobs at the moment, at least just as a feeler, just to see what's out there. He may want, and it's been said on this program many, many times, how much he does genuinely want to stay in Columbia and win in Columbia with the Gamecocks. Many people have told us that is genuinely in his heart what he wants to do.
Right.
But with the circus that's happening right now, he'd be crazy if someone reaches out to him, not to listen, not to hear what they have to offer. He'd be nuts.
If I was Frank Martin, yeah, absolutely. If I was Coach Martin and I saw that job open this morning, I would have made sure that my resume was the first one submitted, to be honest with you, based on what's been going on, at least that we believe has been going on in Columbia, South Carolina. 12:22 on this Thursday afternoon. It is opening day in baseball. It is also buy one, get one half off foot-long cheesesteaks at DB's Cheesesteaks. So if you are treating the afternoon like many treat the normally Thursday and Friday of March Madness, as in like a boss button day, taking the day off to go watch baseball, watch it with cheesesteaks from DB's, dbscheesesteaks.com, and they will deliver it to your doorstep via all of the delivery apps in the Low Country. Don't forget the boardwalk fries, whatever you do. Make sure that you've got those. They come with the Old Bay seasoning, DB's Cheesesteaks, and I would tell you, and I'll tell you again, and I'll tell you again, and I'll tell you again and again and again. Try my favorite, the buffalo chicken cheesesteak. I'm telling you, you've never had anything like it. The buffalo chicken cheesesteak at DB's here in the Low Country of South Carolina. We've got plenty with baseball coming up. Cory McCartney joins us at 12:30. I will show you this because, baseball is America's pastime.
Mhm.
And I have so many neat baseball things. Like I have my friend Bobby Harton gave me this one time. This is really cool. Babe Ruth on the front of this round tripper licorice. All right.
That is cool.
It's pretty. I'll never open this. I mean, I've got so many things. Matter of fact, I've got a Team USA baseball patch from Smoke. I mean, I've got a bunch of neat things. But the one thing, and it has nothing to do with baseball, but it's America. It's the red, white, and blue of America and the Olympic rings. My grandfather was in the Olympics.
That's cool.
My grandfather was in a rower, an Olympian rower, and he never got the chance to do it because World War II broke out.
Huh.
So every year on opening day, I always kind of take a peek at my grandfather's patch. You can see that it was cut off of his sweater because, the Olympics, USA, baseball, I just kind of put it all together. And that's my go-to on opening day, just like our opening day emblems here from supplied by Major League Baseball, the red, white, and blue.
Yeah.
So I'm a big opening day guy, and I'm a big Olympic guy. So I always kind of mesh those two together on opening day. That's my thing. So that's my little Circe today for you.
First of all, that's super cool. There's always been this tie between America and baseball. America's pastime, the bunting, has, as far as I have remembered or seen pictures of, it's always been red, white, and blue. I mean, the memories, you can almost get emotional going back, at least for someone who grew up loving baseball, going to baseball games, talking to my dad and friends about baseball. The memories are always there. It's easy to tie the two together. And I'll say this because I was going to get this in on your DB's read. I'll tie this into World War II. Did you know, and I found this out today, the maker or creator of Old Bay seasoning was a teenager when he escaped a concentration camp and made his way over to Baltimore and created Old Bay seasoning.
You're kidding me.
Nope. Read that article today.
What that if there's any, you talk about the American dream. There you go.
Yep.
Yes. You look what his life was and what it became. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is an amazing story.
Got out of a concentration camp as a teenager. I don't know the entire story, how he got over to Baltimore, but he was in Baltimore and he created Old Bay seasoning.
Wow.
Yep.
What a story. Well, I'm glad even more that I love Old Bay on everything I can put it on, including the fries at DB's Cheesesteaks. So, but they do that for you. Here is a great story, by the way. I hope folks like our Olympic Old Bay stories today to open our program. The rundown of ball games set to go in about 40 minutes as the first one on ESPN. That is the Blue Jays and the New York Yankees. Garrett Cole, of course, will tow it for New York at Yankee Stadium. It's going to be chilly in the Northeast today, where many of these organizations are opening 2021. 1:10 this afternoon from Comerica in Detroit. It is the Indians and the Detroit Tigers. Shane Bieber, that is Justin Bieber's brother. No, I'm just kidding. He will get the ball today this afternoon. By the way, the backup catcher for Detroit is a big fan of our show, and we're a big fan of his. And that's not, I shouldn't have led with that. I'm being selfish by saying that, but it is former All-American at South Carolina, Grayson Griner, who of course got hit in the face earlier in spring training. He has recovered well and he's ready to go. The Tigers and the Indians will get going today, but they'll have a tough matchup against Bieber. You got the Twins and the Brewers at 2:10 this afternoon. The Brewers, of course, the new home of Jackie Bradley Jr. 2:10 first pitch from American Family Field in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The Cubs and the Pirates at 2:20 this afternoon from Wrigley. The Braves and the Phillies at 3:05. That one, if you don't have the regional network, which is now Bally Sports, you can watch it on ESPN Plus. Of course, Max Fried will be in that one, and Aaron Nola, formerly, of course, of LSU. The Diamondbacks and the Padres at 4:10. Madison Bumgarner and Yu Darvish will be on the bump. The Dodgers and the Rockies at 4:10 this afternoon as well on ESPN. Kershaw and German Marquez with the Rockies. They will be, that's the pitching matchup in that one. The Cardinals and the Reds at 4:10 as well. Flaherty and Castillo. The Rays and Marlins at 4:10 this afternoon. Rangers and Royals at 4:10 this afternoon. Angels and White Sox late tonight at 10:05. Al Bundy's son, Dylan, he will get the start in that one for the Angels. I'm kidding about that as well. The Astros and the Athletics at 10:07, the late one on ESPN. Greinke will go for the Astros, the Giants, and the Mariners at 10:10 as well. LSU's Kevin Gausman will be on the bump for the San Francisco Giants. And again, as you mentioned at the top of the show here, the Orioles and the Red Sox, Mets and Nationals both postponed today. I think it's weather for the Orioles and the Red Sox. Makeup date is tomorrow. Nats and Mets postponed. Remember this year, teams that go to double dips, they're 7-inning doubleheaders now in Major League Baseball. So we'll see kind of how all that unfolds with some of the COVID stuff that folks are still working through. And just tweeted by David Cloninger. I've been trying to find this morning for everybody in our state. And because a lot of opening day rosters were released late today, don't have official names for all the programs. But this one is from David Cloninger. All of the former Gamecocks on opening day rosters: Jackie Bradley in Milwaukee, Will Crow with Pittsburgh, Grayson Griner with Detroit, of course, Whit Merrifield in Kansas City, Jordan Montgomery with the Yankees, Christian Walker, the starting first baseman for Arizona, Tyler Webb in St. Louis, and the greatest caddy slash I don't know what his official role was at Stono Ferry.
Golfer?
Well, no, he worked with the carts and with whoever went out there to play.
Cart boy. I was a cart boy. Yeah, okay. I was a cart boy. That's fine.
Taylor Widener, formerly of South Carolina, he was doing that in the off season. He lives here in the off season in the Low Country. He opens with Arizona as well. So a laundry list of Gamecocks there. You might be wondering, well, where is Justin Smoke? Well, I can personally tell you that Justin Smoke is in Japan. He is about to, here in the next couple of weeks, open his first season as a Yomiuri Giant, which is basically the New York Yankees of Japan. So he is a big leaguer, but across the pond that way. All right, we need to step aside. When we return, our opening day primer with Cory McCartney in Atlanta, Georgia. If you are a fan of the sport of baseball, you won't want to miss it. Hang tight. The JB and Goldwater Show, driven by Stokes Volkswagen. We'll be right back.
Peace and love at Stokes Speed Up.
This is Mike Mazzell for Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate Road. Whatever you got planned this week, cancel it. 72 new Volkswagens will be sold in the next 72 hours at whatever price it takes. I repeat, 72 new Volkswagens will be sold in the next 72 hours. To the first 72 car buyers interested in saving up to $6,000 on a new Volkswagen for 3 days only. Every new Volkswagen and pre-owned vehicle at our bottom line price. Direct to the public, regardless of profit. Qualified purchases with interest-free financing for 60 months, and all trade-ins will be accepted. Interested parties should arrive early for best selection. You will not find a lower price anywhere in the country. 72-hour Volkswagen clearance, savings up to $6,000, 3 days only at Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate Road or StokesVW.com.
Peace and love at Stokes Speed Up.
$16.66 per month per $1,000 borrowed for 60 months at 0% APR with 0 down. Plus tax tag includes $4.99.50 administration fee. Subject to VCI credit approval. Expires month end.
What's up, everyone? JB here. Want to tell you about my friends at Mcfadden Pest Control, as we do every day on our program. I love these guys. They've been in business over 40 years, and they treat our family like they've only been around for 4 days. Always doing their best work, trying to earn our business, although they know that they'll always have it. Heath and the guys take care of our quarterly, our mosquitoes, termite bonds, anything we can get them to do, they do it. They're the best. They're friends. Heath even often texts me and just asks to see how my family's doing. It's amazing. I can't say enough about Mcfadden Pest Control. Switch to them. You'll never have anyone else protect your home. McFaddenPestControl.com, McFaddenPestControl.com here in the Low Country.
Guys, spring is finally in the air. You know what that means? Basketball in its home stretch. March Madness promotion at Dog and Ducks, 3 locations in Mount Pleasant, Bell Hall, Park West, and Clements Ferry Road. From now until the end of the tournament, $5 Sweetwater pints. That's right. Every Sweetwater, just $5 at Dog and Duck, Park West, Bell Hall, and their Clements Ferry location. Plus, baseball spring training, college baseball, spring football, it's all available at Dog and Duck's 3 locations in Mount Pleasant.
Play ball! Hey, South Carolina, what's going on? This is Patrick Davis, and you are listening to my friends JB and Darren on the JB and Goldwater Show.
sure that Patrick would share the same passion we all have today. It is opening day in Major League Baseball. Welcome back to the JB and Goldwater show, protected by Mcfadden Pest Control, driven by Stokes Volkswagen, and today served by DB's Cheesesteaks, because I can't wait to have one big, juicy, foot-long cheesesteak to watch the Braves this afternoon when you and I get off the air, Darren. And as you mentioned just a moment ago on Twitter, and you're spot on, and I know he hates it when we do things like this, but there literally is nobody on planet Earth I'd rather talk opening day with than Cory McCartney. What's up, buddy?
Hey, guys, how's it going? I appreciate that, but yeah, how's it going?
Well, I mean, you are a friend, but we really mean this. I don't, does anybody know more than you about baseball anymore? Like, you know everything.
Oh, I'm sure there's plenty.
Peter
Gammon's
on line 2.
There you go.
Kirkjian, but we're all taller than Kirkjian, right?
Yeah, I've talked to him. He's a really nice guy, but no, he is not. He and Rosenthal are not pushing any height barriers.
None of them are. Only's a little guy, and they're all. I mean, I'm not a big guy either. I'm probably a little guy compared to most, but I think I'm bigger than them. That makes me feel decent, I guess.
That's why we're all in the media now and not playing anymore.
Yeah. All right, Cory, here we go, man. Opening day. We'll lead this off with the Atlanta Braves. I just retweeted you, I think, a moment ago. So the roster is out. I think it's 26 man, right? The roster is now out. I didn't see any surprises. Were there any surprises?
No, I mean, certainly you can look at the bullpen and see names that you're not necessarily familiar with. Nate Jones in particular, somebody who made a lot of noise this spring and just looked really great. And obviously, we talked before about how guys like Jacob Webb, have options. So you're going to see them open up in the alternate site and then the minor leagues. And then certainly Adriziana. I'm going to struggle with that one all season as long as he's on this roster. But, making the cut there in the infield. I mean, this guy, you think about the way that they've had that, that utility guy, if you want Charlie Culberson and certainly Johan Camargo. Camargo's still with this team, but not on the opening day roster. Adriana, this guy made a lot of noise this spring too, and they love the versatility. So I think those are two names that if you would have gone back to the beginning of spring were ones that would have surprised you when you saw this opening day roster.
Well, Max Fried is the opening day starter. He will oppose Aaron Nola today, formerly of the LSU Tigers. This is a role that I guess maybe he might not be in if Mike Soroka was ready to go to start the year, but he is. Even when Soroka returns, do you anticipate this changing? Like he's the one guy now. You think that'll just stay that way?
Yeah, I don't even really think they think about it in terms of where you line up. It's not as though, we know that you go into a series and say, okay, it's 1 versus 1, 2 versus 2. I mean, it doesn't always play itself out like that. So I don't think they're really all that concerned about that. I think he'll just slot in. Soroka will, where they're able to make him fit in when it's time to get him back into the mix there. So I don't think any of those guys would have any gripes about the way things are lining up with them getting starts.
Yeah, because I want to be, especially in big league baseball these days, I want to be careful about using the term ace because so many organizations have multiple aces. I mean, look at the Dodgers; they have 8 of them. I mean, it's it's not like it used to be where your Friday night guy or your ace. You've got 3 or 2, 3 of these guys. Some teams have 4 of these guys, so it's a little bit of a different term. I was looking, and I would encourage folks, as we do every week, to go, especially if you're a Braves fan, you want to go to talkingchop.com. If you're just a fan of baseball, you want to go there. You learn so much. And Cory, today, another amazing column out. This one is titled Starting 9. These stats are the blueprint to Braves season. And the very first thing caught me off guard. The number 30 was your number one thing right there, your number one point. Only the 1998 Braves have had 4 players hit 30 or more home runs in a year. That doesn't seem right, but this team might be able to accomplish that feat.
Yeah, I mean, there's only been 5 teams in Major League history that have had 4 guys do that in a year. You bet back to that season with Galarraga, the Joneses and Javi Lopez. But you look at the projections right now. I mean, you've got Freeman, Acuna, and Ozuna feel like those guys that are locks, and then you've got Ozzie Albies and you've got Austin Riley, and you could throw Dansby Swanson into this mix if you want to, but I think it's really Albies and Riley. If those guys can get them to 30, I mean, there's only been one team that's ever gotten 5 And, you look at the ones that have 4, and, 2 of the last 3 have made it to the World Series. So it's no guarantee that gets them there. But I think when you talk about the heights of this offense and how much of a focus this kind of revamped or retooled, however you want to call it, rotation with the Smiley and Morton additions, I think how many long balls this team produces is going to be a big factor in what happens this year.
What is the lineup for the Braves today? I have not seen it. Is it pretty normal? It's all the same names. We know that.
Yeah. I mean, it's exactly what you would expect from this crew. I mean, this is what they were going to, doing for most of the spring, with having, Acuna at the top, and then Albies, Freeman, Azuna, Darno, Swanson, Riley, Pache, and Fried. So Christian Pache getting that start in center field. So the dawn of a new day here in center field for the Braves.
Wow. This is Freddie Freeman's 11th opening day, correct?
Correct. Yeah, we just actually talked to Freddie a few minutes ago, and this will be number 11 for him. I just kind of dug this up just before I came on. So he's now 4th all-time in consecutive opening day starts for the Braves. So he's only trailing Hank Aaron, who has 20, and then Chipper Jones and Eddie Matthews both have 15. So consecutive opening day starts. Chipper has 16, but he had one that he missed there. So just got ways to go though to catch Hank Aaron. But number 11 for Freddie Freeman.
Well, I just got a phone with Trout, and he's ready to go too. I'm just kidding. I figured, I'll try to drop a name here too. How does Freddie feel coming into opening day this year? Because I think, Corey, if I'm correct in this was I don't want to call it the quote worst spring training. Spring training it's so hard to gauge players, but maybe not the most successful spring training that he's had. You might have been working on some things offensively, so he had his struggles. So how does he feel about himself as they open the season?
Well, he said from a health standpoint, I remember he also had COVID last year, so he was delayed in getting to spring training 2.0 and only had a couple days to get ready before they opened up the season. And obviously that ended up paying off with an MVP. But he said from a health standpoint, he feels really good. He talked to Brian Snicker and said he's ready to go. 162 games. That's always been every time you talk to Freddie during a spring, he always wants to play 162 games. We've seen him do that a couple times in his career, but he says he feels great. The spring was really weird for him. You got to remember he had 2 sons come into the world, and I think it was really difficult for him. He said a lot of times, instead of being out there as he would normally get ready, he'd be on the phone trying to squeeze in, a few minutes, and being stunned at how big his kids have gotten in since he's seen them last. So a few weeks at that point, being away from his family in California. So I think it was a tough spring for him as he adjusts to being away from those kids. And then it just obviously wasn't happening for him that much on the field. So I don't think you worry about him from the end of, we know what this guy's capable of, but it was certainly an odd spring training for Freeman for sure.
With the protocols, right? That's why he didn't see his 2 kids. And that's why, they're separated when he was at spring training. We've seen it now pop up already today with the Nationals and the Mets being postponed because of the Nationals. It has felt for the last week, and maybe I was willfully blind, that it felt a little bit normal again coming into this year. And then today was kind of like a smack in the face of, well, wait a second, we're not normal yet. What's it feel like in Atlanta? Because it's not just COVID. You got the whole political stuff going on with the All-Star game too. What's the feel going into the season?
Yeah, those were some of the first questions that Freddie Freeman faced today was, whether or not there's been any conversations with Tony Clark and the union about whether the All-Star game should be moved out of Atlanta. Obviously he said that it's a conversation he thinks is worth having, but he thinks that on the flip side of it, if Atlanta is the stage and Atlanta is the platform for some issues that people have, then let's use that to their advantage and try to, to leverage that and build that conversation and use the stage without, taking something away from the fans and taking away from something from Atlanta. But then the other side of it, obviously, I think we all, would love for things to be back to the way they once were. But I think, today just kind of a realization this is not going to be the first time, the game is postponed or canceled in 2021. I saw there was a prop bet on, whether or not a game would be canceled. That's obviously 11 hours into spring training is when the Mets and Nationals were canceled. That's already off the table. So certainly some weirdness there, with all the voters' rights stuff. And, I thought, Freeman, to his credit, answered it, I thought, in a pretty concise way that they should use this platform for the betterment of all that they can.
Cory McCartney in Atlanta, Georgia, 12:43 on this Thursday afternoon. Opening day is set to begin in about 20 minutes with the Yankees and the Blue Jays. The Yankees, by the way, Darren, are more than likely the team that will oppose the Braves in the World Series this year. So they're going to try to get their first win against the Blue Jays here coming up at 105 on ESPN.
That's the Little League World Series with teams with fake names.
Pass that along to you.
Okay.
Do what now?
So that's the Little League World Series, and they're going just with team names instead?
No, it's the big league. Welcome to the big leagues, kid.
Okay.
Well, here's the good news. The Braves also announced this morning that in their second homestand, Corey, they're increasing attendance to 50% of capacity at Truist Park. Do you have any additional details on that and how they came to this decision here on opening day, or at least decided to release it today?
No, we did get an email this morning from Braves PR that they were going to increase 50%. They did say that they're still looking for safety and health safety measures to remain intact. So they want people wearing masks when they're not eating, when they're not drinking. So that's basically what everybody does the entire time they're sitting down at a baseball game. So I'm really not sure how much mask wearing is going to be happening at Truist Park this year. But yeah, certainly they're. I think here in Georgia too, we're now, if you're above 16, you're now able to get the vaccination. So, right. Certainly, I think just tying into the opening of more people being able to get the vaccine and utilizing that. And certainly this is, I think that's something that the state of Georgia really wanted, because this is a big moneymaker for the state to get people in the stadiums. I've talked to shop owners there at the Battery that, that they are banking on this to get make up for last year. There's a number of new places down there at the Battery, and these people are ready to get some fans in there and start making some cash again. So, I think seeing that 50% number certainly had to make a lot of people happy today.
Well, let's be honest here. We all know there is going to be alcohol sales are going through the roof, because people are going to be like, I ain't putting my mask on. Give me another beer. It's going to be from an hour before the first pitch until God knows how long after the final out. They're going to be pouring beers down their throats to not have to put those masks on. And you know what? I'm not a beer drinker, but I can't say I blame them, especially when you get into like June and July in Atlanta. Who wants to have a mask on your face? My God, it's warm.
But go ahead and chug like 12 beers at, noon in Atlanta.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, and then after you've had about 12 of those, you're going to casually forget that you need a mask on anyway. So, Corey, let's dance around the rest of the National League East. Marlins obviously last year played really well. It'll be interesting to see how that translates this year. The Mets today, and we're about to get into this in a moment. They've tied Lindor into $340 million. They've revamped much of their roster. Obviously, the Phillies are, they've got talent. We'll see kind of what happens with them. We'll find out a little bit today, maybe, when they play the Braves. Anybody else in the East stick out to you, or is that it?
Yeah, I think that obviously I want to see this Nationals team. I think last year,
the Nats
coming off the World Series. We know how talented that group is. So. Soto on everyone's MVP short list. So I think that team's going to be a lot of fun to watch, but certainly, everything in the last 24 hours and Freddie Freeman had to answer questions about this too, contract extensions. And you mentioned it, Francisco Lindor, it's $341 million, not $40 million. It's $341 million. So his average annual value is higher than that of Fernando Tatis Jr.
Oh. How does that impact moving forward, right? Because so from a Nationals fan perspective, the way some of these signings have occurred have negatively hurt the franchise. There was a big signing, and then Rendon went out and got his money, and he left, and you got Trey Turner sitting there after Lindor. You got Soto sitting there after Lindor. Was this a good move for the Mets? Is this too much for the Mets? Is Lindor worth this?
I'm a little, he's 28 years old, and, certainly you think about not paying guys into the back ends of getting them close to 40, how that's kind of started to dissipate. But they had to pull the trigger, I think, on this now, because I don't think they want to get into that market this offseason when you start thinking about that shortstop class of Trevor Story, Javier Baez, Carlos Correa, Corey Seager. They don't want to be, into a situation where you're having a bidding war, among those other guys playing that same position. So I think they set the stage for what those guys' contract, Seager in particular, I think could look like. But if you're Juan Soto and you're his age and you know what you're capable of and you know how young you are, I think when he gets his, it's going to dwarf everything. And I think that's just the reality of it. But I think the near future is Lindor set the stage for what's going to happen. And that's why you saw, Carlos Correa just adamantly turn down this, $160 million offer the Astros gave him. That's peanuts compared to what's going to be in the open market for him.
That is just baffling. So I'm going to go way out there. Don't fall out of your seat. Do you think that Juan Soto, how old is he? 22?
Yep.
22.
Does he have a chance to be baseball's first $500 million player?
So, all right. So let's think. So we got 341 for Lindor, and you got to think that Seager, who has, a World Series MVP, is performed. I think he's had some monster seasons. I think he's going to get higher than Lindor does. So let's say we paint Seager into 360, 370. If someone comes along that can get to 4 first, I don't know that it'll go that much higher. I can't see the learners going that much higher to get him to 5, but it'll definitely be way into the 4s. That is without question, I think, going to happen for Soto.
You got all that DC money up there. I mean, $500 million. That's chump change. It's nothing to this.
Yeah,
guys.
nothing.
What you look back? We've talked about this before, and now you look back at the deal 2 years ago, I think, that Acuna signed, and you just shake your head, right? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
You're like, wow, you cost yourself maybe $250-300 million.
Yeah, I mean, you can say the same thing about Ozzie Albies in the $85 million deal that he got. But yeah, I mean, obviously, Acuna's deal was, I've heard it said before that the Braves went through Acuna. They did not go through his agent necessarily to get that deal done. So,
Wow.
he wanted to be there. He wanted that security. So I think it looks paltry in context to all these other deals we're talking about. But that's why I think it's all the more interesting to me that Freddie Freeman doesn't already have a contract extension in hand. He said this morning there's been no talks, and now he's going down and he's playing 162 games. He's turning his attention to the season now. He didn't necessarily say I'm not negotiating in season, but he said there's nothing to report there. So, they have such a bargain with Acuna that it would be damning, I think, if Freddie Freeman hits the open market. There's literally no excuse for it.
But in saying all that, does it mean that a deal won't get done or can't get done in the middle of the season with Freddie?
I mean, it could. How often, though, do we hear these guys say, I don't want to do it during the season. I want to focus on the season. I mean, that was the timetable that Lindor gave the Mets. You think about Freeman's last extension, it actually came in November. So I don't know. There's not been anything said to us, or we've not been privy to anything that makes us think that they won't do it once the season starts. Remember, the Acuna and Albies deals were actually both done in the first month of the season when those were done too. So the Braves have shown a willingness to make those kind of moves in season. We'll just see if Freddie Freeman's willing to.
All right, let's dance across the rest of baseball. It's finally here. Not necessarily predictions, but I mean, outside of the Braves obviously being World Series contenders and the Dodgers being World Series contenders, and maybe the Nationals.
Padres.
Who else? Who maybe? How about a team or two? Yeah, there you go. A team or two that might not be on that line, that top line, the big radar right there that we should in the National League to keep an eye on, maybe to make a run to the World Series.
Well, I think a lot of people are going to look at the Cardinals and get Nolan Arenado and say that's the pick in the National League Central. And the Cubs, obviously, they're going to be a team to watch there about, whether or not they're going to start to move guys with Rizzo, Bryant, and Baez. Guys are all going to be free agents after the season. But I'm really interested in this Brewers club. You think about run prevention and, how much you're able to just, limit what teams can do at the plate. I think with that outfield, they are going to be so good defensively. They got Colton Wong to this offseason. So I think this is going to be a team that I think is going to play really great defense. And I think they're going to, obviously we know what they have, with Williams and Hader in that bullpen. I think they're going to be a fascinating watch in a division where the Cardinals got a lot of the attention this offseason with getting Arenado.
Here is my annual. Actually, this is going to be my weekly this year.
Oh.
That Jackie Bradley Jr. is the best center fielder in baseball. Figured I'd pass that along. If you go look, I mean, the center fielders in baseball they're ridiculous. I mean, this is the best shape it's ever been in with the guys that they have out there. But if you go to YouTube and just watch, I think there's one 10-minute reel of Jackie's catches. It's absurd. Like diving over the wall in the corner out there in Fenway. I mean, he makes it look too easy. What about in the American League? We've got obviously the Yankees. I see the Yankees seem to be everybody's kind of flavor of the season. You know, this is the team this is the Yankees' year. They should get back and win this thing. Outside of New York, a couple of teams maybe that might be floating a little bit underneath the radar to get to the October Classic.
Yeah, I mean, the White Sox are right there too. I think people have maybe backed off a little bit with that Eloy Jimenez injury there. You know, whether they're going to be able to be the team. I think the Twins. We've watched the Twins back out of the postseason so often, but they have so much firepower, and they have a pitching staff that I think is going to hold up for the duration of this season. They've got some, I love Barrios, and I think that's going to be a really fun group. Obviously, the Blue Jays are going to be a real point of interest. They're dealing with a ton of injuries though to start this season. Then is Mike Trout going to be in the postseason? I think that's one of the biggest storylines in the American League. We've seen the Angels kind of go out and try to beef things up around him. I think that they're going to be certainly a team that a lot of interest in, because everyone wants to see this guy perform on the biggest stage. I think that the AL West is more winnable now than it's been at any point since he's been in Anaheim. So I think they're going to be a team to certainly keep your focus on in the American League.
How about Oakland?
I like Oakland. I just, to me, I have some concerns about the back end of that rotation. I don't know how much, if they have enough firepower. I think, there's certainly pieces that have moved on there that they may not be able to keep up pace. The Astros obviously are still going to be a strong team. They're looking to, certainly get Verlander back at some point, and, we'll see what they're capable of. But I think the Angels are going to be a sneaky pick out west.
And they have new trash cans in Houston as well, right?
I would think so.
Okay, just checking. What off or on the field, but not personnel wise here. What interests you most about maybe some of the changes in baseball this year? I think we've got 7-inning doubleheaders and things like that. What of all the kind of, I would call it crazy information or crazy changes we've seen over the last couple of years, what interests you the most?
I think the 3-batter minimum and how much. So we've talked about this before. You're going to have all these starting pitchers that did not log a ton of innings last year. So how much are they going to be able to go deep into games? So you're going to see teams go into bullpens more often than not. And you've got guys that are going to come in and have to face the minimum of 3 batters. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how much bullpens are stretched. I know they've tried to get away from this. I think we're going to see a lot of position players having to pitch in games this year. I think it's an inevitability when you think about the fact that you're going to have starters who didn't go 150, 200 innings. Now they're going to be thrown back into the mix. They're going to be, how deep are they going to go? How much is the bullpen going to be able to carry up innings? And then how many guys are they going to have to use of that group? So I think that to me is going to be an unnecessary byproduct that comes with us with the lack of innings and the 3-batter minimum.
Could it be that pitchers' arms are maybe more fresh? I mean, I know the one side is, they had 60 games, now it's 162. The innings are ramping up. But could they be more fresh? Could we actually see the opposite happen?
But I think you're going to see a lot of teams that are going to say, we're not going to do that to our guys early in the season, right? Yeah. You're going to see a lot of teams that are going to say, I don't need you in April, May. I need you in September and October. And I think you're going to see the pitcher usage be reflective of that. I mean, you're going to have guys like Garrett Cole that are just going to say, you know what, you paid me all this money to go out there and go deep into a game for you. But I think you're going to have a lot of developing young arms. We can go to the Braves in particular. When Soroka comes back, how often do you think they're going to let a guy that only threw 30 innings last year go into the 6th or 7th inning of a game? I just don't see it happening a lot. Ian Anderson didn't get a ton of innings last year. They didn't have the minor leagues to build that up before they came to him in particular, before they came to the major league roster. So, I think it's just going to be an unfortunate byproduct of last year that we're going to end up seeing some stuff we don't want to see with pitcher usage.
What does the McCartney household look like on opening day, Corey? What are you doing today?
Well, there's a 7-step process, and you exfoliate the skin with a rosin bag, and you move into snow. It's quiet. A year ago, obviously there was kids running all over this house, acting like they were in school and all that stuff. So a little more subdued. I wish the Braves were opening at home so I could get down to the ballpark, but I'll be watching everything happen. I got to watch that battle for Ohio here. Obviously an Ohio byproduct, so I got to watch the Indians and Reds and get them going here in a few minutes.
The who? The Indians.
Yeah, man.
They're not the Cleveland baseball team.
Oh, geez.
By the way, if you're wearing any type of Native American headdress, you're not allowed into what are they, Ameritrade? I don't know. The Indians Park, whatever they are right now. A side note, for any MLB.TV subscriber, which I've been for years as a out-of-town fan, this year they're debuting a wraparound like Red Zone style show nightly. Today it's, I think, 3 hours worth, and I think once we get into the normalcy, I believe it starts at 9:30 every night, only on MLB.TV.
There you go.
So they're trying to tap into the MLB network's coverage at night.
Well, there's not a whole lot of wraparound stuff. Sometimes MLB Network does, but not like
Quick Pitch is great though.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of Quick Pitch.
Is Kevin Millar still on that this year?
He's gone. He's no longer. No, I'm sorry, Chris Rose. Yeah, Chris Rose is gone off MLB Network. But yeah, Heidi. Yeah,
he's funny.
Yeah, Millar's still there.
Okay. Hey, what
Heidi Whitney hosts it.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with her. I'll have to check that out. What about Kelsey Wingert? You and Kelsey did stuff together for years in Atlanta. Where is she? What's she doing now?
So she's actually doing stuff for John Boy Media now. So she's doing a podcast with Peter Moylan. Actually, just conversed with Kelsey a few days ago. So they're doing some prospect stuff. So you have to check out her podcast.
Yeah. Great. That's wonderful to hear. I always enjoyed her on the broadcast, and hopefully she's doing great. We'll have to get her on the program one day. She's probably better than you, Corey.
I can make it happen for you.
Okay, man. Well, we might take you up on that, but first and foremost, enjoy opening day. It's great to have it back. It's been 2 years since a true opening day, and for the most part, it is. Once again, fantastic, magnificent information as always. We're ready to go. It starts in 5 minutes. The first pitch of the 2021 Major League Baseball season will be thrown up in Yankee Stadium. And we'll be watching that, as everybody will. Corey, we'll talk to you next week, brother.
All right, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. There you go, Cory McCartney in Atlanta, Georgia. If you're a Braves fan, talkingchop.com. If you're a baseball fan, you learn new stats every day by heading to this website. I've been in baseball my whole life, and I don't even understand half the stuff they're saying. I do, but I just didn't realize that there were these little terms for them now, but they're there. So you can learn a lot by heading to talkingchop.com. And check that out. All right, we got to hit a timeout. What a great day for the National Anthem, right? It'll be played in ballparks all across America as baseball is set to begin. And on the other side of our National Anthem, we'll be joined by our friend John Whittle with thebigspur.com. Hang tight. The JB and Goldwater Show, driven by Stokes Volkswagen. We'll be right back. What's up, everyone? JB here. Want to tell you about my friends at Mcfadden Pest Control, as we do every day on our program. I love these guys. They've been in business over 40 years, and they treat our family like they've only been around for 4 days. Always doing their best work, trying to earn our business, although they know that they'll always have it. Heath and the guys take care of our quarterly, our mosquitoes, termite bonds, anything we can get them to do, they do it. They're the best. They're friends. Heath even often texts me and just asks to see how my family's doing. It's amazing. I can't say enough about Mcfadden Pest Control. Switch to them. You'll never have anyone else protect your home. McFaddenPestControl.com, McFaddenPestControl.com here in the Low Country.
At Patriots Point Naval and Maritime Museum, families walk in the footsteps of our nation's heroes, the brave ones who risked their lives to defend our way of life. Home to the aircraft carrier USS Yorktown, USS Laffey, and the USS Clamagore, there's more than 1 million square feet of exhibit space to roam. White Glove certified, we have several new health safety measures in place to enhance the visitor experience. Come for the day and leave feeling inspired. One of the most impressive museums in the country, located right here in Mount Pleasant. Visit patriotspoint.org for more. We'll see you soon.
Bourbon and whiskey drinkers of Charleston. Paddock and Whiskey on James Island and the Terrace Shopping Center on Maybank is your home for the finest and rarest bourbon and whiskey drinks in the Low Country. This is where I hang out. Go meet my friends Reed and Chris and try one of their exclusive barrel pick bourbons. They have the largest private barrel collection in the state, and let their knowledgeable staff recommend your next pour. PaddockandWhiskey.com. Let not your heart be troubled. Paddock and Whiskey is here for your next double. We're all friends around here. Paddock and Whiskey, proud partners of the JB and Goldwater Show.
This is Scott Glaze, head golf professional at the Links at Stono Ferry, located on the outskirts of Charleston, South Carolina. I'm inviting you to tee it up on one of the most scenic and challenging courses in the Low Country. Our back nine is highlighted with 3 holes that border the Intercoastal Waterway. Visit stonoferrygolf.com to book tee times and discover all that Stono Ferry has to offer. The Links at Stono Ferry is a former South Carolina Golf Course of the Year and is also home to the College of Charleston men's and women's golf team. Come see us. We would love to have you. stonoferrygolf.com.
Hi, I'm Chris Half, Public Information Officer at the Patriots Point Naval and Maritime Museum. We're home of the mighty USS Yorktown, USS Laffey, Flamagore, and Vietnam experience. And we're a proud partner of the JB and Goldwater Show. We invite you and your family to come see us and enjoy a day on Charleston Harbor. Visit patriotspoint.org for more information. And now it is my honor to present the National Anthem.
JB Goldwater Show. Live, loud, and online.
Final hour here on this Thursday afternoon. Welcome back to the JB and Goldwater Show, driven by Stokes Volkswagen. It is April Fool's Day, but don't be fooled. Baseball is underway right now in New York, the Bronx. The first pitch of the big league season here in 2021 is being thrown out, and the Yankees and Blue Jays are launching what is expected to be a full 162-game slate. And we certainly can't wait to watch all of this throughout the afternoon and, of course, throughout the season. The JB and Goldwater Show, if you're watching to the left of the screen, that's me, JB. To the right, that is Darren. He's in all of his Nat stuff. He's all fired up today for the Nationals to finish second or third again in the National League East this season.
Last time we were wild card, the World Series happened. So,
that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
That's right. Good point. You can send us a message or a note if you'd like to by texting 321-8893 or in any of the available chat rooms. We'll pop them right into our program. Thanks to Cory McCartney in that last segment. And Scott Glaze is coming up in just a little while. We got some really neat stuff to get to in golf. But first, one of our favorite fine friends with thebigspur.com, John Whittle, is set to join us here for just a little bit. We're going to get into the Gamecocks and much, much more. What's up, J-Dub?
Hey, what's up, guys? How are y'all?
J-Dub. That's what we're going to call you from here on out. How many people call you J-Dub?
Ooh, I can think of just a couple. Most of them are with the Canes baseball program I work with, including one of the Low Country guys, Cole Messina down there. But we can go with that. Whatever y'all need. I'll answer to basically anything.
Oh, will you?
Some happen to be vulgar, which I understand as well.
That's right. That's what I always say. I've been called worse, and now that I'm married, I'm called
a lot worse.
Hey, you, and get your butt up, whatever, things like that. All right, so we were at the top of that last segment, I'm sorry, Darren. Before we got to Cory, I told you I was trying to piece it together this morning. I finally got one email from one of our in-state programs, and of course, it's Kent Reichert at South Carolina. He's all over it. with the opening day roster guys for South Carolina. I did mention those 8 earlier. I read that from a tweet from David Cloninger, but didn't get too far in depth in some of this. And John covers Carolina baseball. It has been for years as well as anybody. So, John, when you look at this list, Jackie's been up for a while. Witt's been up for a while. We know about those guys. Griner, he's the backup catcher in Detroit, but he's been up now for a couple of years. Montgomery has certainly been on the Yankees radar for a while. Tyler Webb, and then you see Will Crow on there, and the one that I circled. And this kid is just a great, great, great dude, and I'm so happy for him. Taylor Widener. He's the 5th starter now out there in Arizona. So technically the Diamondbacks have 2 former Gamecocks in their lineup because Christian Walker's their first baseman. But every 5th day, Taylor Widener's going to toe the rubber and throw heat for Arizona. He's a guy, John, when you go back and remember his career, we all knew what Taylor Widener could be. He had the arm. He had the stuff. It just seemed like at times it wasn't all put together, and he has blossomed in his professional career. This is really neat to see him in the rotation for Arizona.
For sure. And there are times when I like to boast a little bit about knowing a little bit about baseball. And one of the things I like to point to is I always figured that Michael Roth would be a really good pitcher. I didn't really see much of him as a hitter, which is what he wanted to be, what Ray Tanner kept talking about for early on in his career, yada, yada, yada. But, I swore up and down that Taylor Widener was going to be a great hitter. And, he'd be okay on the mound, but I really saw a lot of home runs flying off of his left-handed bat out onto the street out of Founders Park. But man, now that he's sitting there and what is this, his 2nd year up in the big leagues, I was certainly wrong on that one. So I'll still stick by that. He could have been a really good hitter, but he is vastly surpassed, what I thought he could be as a pitcher. So, he was a guy who, when he was in South Carolina, he found a way to oftentimes find a lot of hitter barrels and didn't always have the best success, but he's really done great in pro ball. Really happy for him, because he's one of the guys who I really kind of enjoyed getting to know throughout the recruiting process and covering here on campus. He's a great guy who I'm really happy he's having success.
Yeah, I was talking to Coach Holbrook about him. I think it was last fall at some point in time, and Coach Holbrook's eyes just lit up, as you probably well know, John, just about how special of a human he is. And that's not without saying all these other guys. I mean, I know Jackie and Grayson and Witt, most notably out of that group. You know all of them. I don't know any of those other guys really that well, but at all. But it's a great group of kids, and certainly I think they all have incredibly bright futures. We know about Jackie and Witt and Christian, what they've been doing in the big leagues. It's something. Also want to add as well, and it's good note in here from Kent Reichert, that Clark Schmidt is on the 60-day injured list to start the season with the Yankees. Tyler Johnson with the White Sox and Max Schrock with Cincinnati, they are at the alternate site training camp as well. So those guys more than likely are going to be in the big leagues at some point in time. How about Schrock, John? I mean, here's a guy, what's he, 5'8" maybe, but he had some pop, and you knew he had some talent, and he had his ups and downs at Carolina, and I think he's another guy that folks were like, hey, he's got it, but can he put it all together? My goodness, the dude's going to be in the big leagues.
Well, yeah, that was one who I saw coming for a while. He just had one of the sweetest swings I've ever seen as a high school kid. He was a hard worker. He's got some speed. He's a good defensive second baseman. I've really liked Max Schrock as a player ever since he committed. He came to a camp at South Carolina, and I think he was a freshman, and just absolutely showed out, just hitting balls all over the place. And he's always had an elite hit tool, and I'm really impressed with what he's done. He didn't put up really gaudy numbers going up through the minor leagues, but he's been pretty consistent in what he's done, and he can provide some versatility up there too. But he's always given you a professional at bat, and I certainly think that he'll be back up with the Reds and that big league club probably before too much longer. And I think Tyler Johnson isn't going to have a real long wait either with the White Sox.
John Whittle with thebigspur.com 112 on this Thursday afternoon. Happy April Fool's Day, John Whittle. Hopefully you play a joke on, I don't know, quit. You should quit. Call JC and tell him you're quitting or something like that. Let's see what happens. Actually, don't do that. He might be like, well, that's fine.
We'll leave that one alone. I don't want to cause too much stress or happiness. One way or the other, somebody's gonna feel uncomfortable. And if JC's like, all right, cool, yeah, I don't want to feel that way either.
That's right. You wonder what dude in the past or whomever, somebody out there somewhere has, I'm going to play a joke on my boss today, I'm going to quit. And they were like, no problem.
Sweet.
No, I was kidding. Yeah, no, we've been waiting to hear that. You're out of here, pal. All right, let's get to this team, and we'll get to some hoops here in just a little bit. John, I do want to ask you about Frank and the basketball team. Obviously, some transfers going on, and maybe try to, believe it or not, tie in some Texas Tech conversation to this. I want to get your thoughts on some of that. But let's talk baseball. They're 17-6. They've won 6 in a row. You and I and Darren hit on this last week, I believe, about how big that Vanderbilt win on Sunday could be. Thus far, it's been pretty big. They do have to go to Athens this weekend. It's been tough to go to Athens for Carolina baseball in the past, so we'll see what happens. But they've won 6 in a row. They're 17-6. You've got a great article up right now, thebigspur.com. You posted it this morning. Surprises so far, position players. And I will just quick side note here. I didn't realize this until I saw it from your right hand that Braylon Wimmer ran a 6.4 360 in the fall. That is lightning quick. I had no idea he blew down the line like that. But then, if I bet, John, I bet you this. If I asked because of all everything that's happened with Wes Clark this year and everything that's happened with Andrew Eister this year, those two in particular, if I just asked the everyday fan who's leading this team in batting average, I guarantee you at least 7, if not 8 or 9 out of 10 would not say Braylon Wimmer, but he is 366 on the year. Where would this team be without this young man? He has boomed to start the year.
Yeah, and that's surprising to me from a couple of different standpoints. He was in my opening day lineup in center field, and once I got to watch those guys in preseason practice, and he obviously started a lot at second base last year, but he's just been kind of an inconsistent guy coming into this season. It was almost to the point of frustration because he'd have a day where he'd go 3 for 4 with a couple of extra base hits, and then the next day he'd turn around and go 0 for 4 with 3 Ks. And part of that is just the nature of the game. Part of that is just baseball. But at the same time, like his highs and his highest of highs and his lowest of lows were always he had a lot of them. He had a lot of them basically. There was not a whole lot of consistency in his performance from day to day, especially offensively. And, he's been a consistent guy from game 1 through game 23 so far. And, there have been a couple of days where, he played a little bit over his head or hasn't played particularly well. But, that's just part of the game. But he's been really good all season long with whatever he's done, apart from that first fly ball that went up his way on opening day in center field. So he can play second base really well. He can play center field really well. If they need him at first base, he can play there too. So, I'm really encouraged with what he's been able to do so far. And he's a big part of the reason why South Carolina is where they are right now from an offensive standpoint. Because, there are a couple of guys who were not playing nearly as well as I thought they would, thought they had a chance to do. And, guys like Braylon Wimmer and Josiah Seitler have kind of picked up for him.
Yeah, Seitler's having a special year as well. Mark's had him in that 3 hole for the last couple of weeks and he keeps swinging it at a 330 clip, he's going to stay there. But you're referencing guys, and I especially college baseball players. I understand it. You hate to pick on guys, and I'm not trying to here, but Brennan Malone's struggling. John, he is really struggling. He's struggled at the plate. They can't keep him in the lineups. He doesn't give anything there, and it certainly, at least to me, on the outside looking in, J-Dub, it appears that has kind of carried over defensively. I don't know that he's very confident out there as well. And he was a highly touted kid. I know you saw him play as a high school kid before he got to college baseball, but he struggled to put it together. And I think he's a guy that they really wanted to have as their everyday third baseman. So what have you learned about Brennan Malone over the last couple to few weeks, and where he is mentally and what he's trying to do to get out of this slump, both defensively and offensively?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. That's the biggest question mark right now, and they've tried so much with him and trying to kind of get him to snap out of this funk he's in. And I think it's more mental than mechanical, to be honest with you. And as you alluded to, I mean, it's pretty sharp. He's kind of carried over into the field as well. And he's just kind of almost a shell of the player he was last year. Going into his freshman year, his freshman fall, they started this quality at bats chart and charted every at bat. You got a certain amount of points for singles, doubles, triples, home runs, whatever, but you also got points for taking a pitcher more than 8 pitches or more into an at bat, or 2-strike production, whatever it was. And he ended up winning that as a true freshman. And going into the year, I thought he was going to be an all conference kind of player, all SEC kind of player. And come fast forward into this year, and in the fall, he just didn't look very good, just didn't look quite right. And it was a little bit concerning. And then during the preseason, those 3 weeks leading up into the year, he couldn't get much going offensively or defensively. And I thought it was going to be something where he would be able to snap out of it, at some point. But they gave him starts. They put him everywhere in the lineup. They've tried batting him up near the top. They've put him at the bottom and tried to take some pressure off. They've done everything they can with him, but nothing's really worked. He's got, I think it's 54 at bats, right around there. And that's not. He started 14 games. I mean, that's not a small sample size. He's gotten opportunities and just hadn't been able to make the most of them. Struck out too much. Just really hasn't been able to get anything going. And there have been some times where he's been in there. All right, maybe that's the hit. Maybe that's the one that gets him to snap out of it, and it's just not. And Jeff Heinrich is healthy now, and he's playing a little bit better, and he does okay at third base defensively, just as good as Malone or a little bit better. And it's his time to get some run of games, and he's performed better. So with Wimmer in there at second base now, and Heinrich getting some opportunities, I think that's the infield for the foreseeable future.
All right, Wes Clark's hit 14, John, and it's premature to start talking about much more than that. But we just to sit here and have the conversation. We've seen a lot in this program over the years. First of all, who's the last guy to hit 20 plus home runs in a year for Carolina? Can you remember?
No, but I hope you have it right there with you, or somebody's going to be scrambling for their media guy.
I don't. It was a top of mind question. We'll see who can get it first. Darren, you go to the or I'll check it out here on the Gamecocks online website, or I don't think Kent's going to respond to an email that quick. Well, I mean, I know Smoke hit 23 in 08, and then they deadened the bats after that. Well, what about Ebert? How many did Ebert hit?
Nick Ebert had 23. I've got my media guide up now. Nick Ebert hit 23 in 09.
So that was the last time, right?
Yeah, that was the last time. Smoke had 23 the year before that.
Okay. All right. So Ebert. Okay. So, we'll pay attention to that, the record is 29 in a year by your own Peters back in 02. He's 50% of the way there, and they're not even 50% through the games yet. But it's certainly something to keep an eye on. But this is, he had kind of hit a little bit of a skid there, John, and now he's homered in 4 or 5 games. I think 6 of his last 7 hits are leaving the yard. I mean, this guy. But we all know what the SEC can do to you. You can scuffle in a weekend. I mean, he went 0 for 6 against Florida on Friday night. Of course, he bounced back and hit a couple home runs Saturday and Sunday. But you could have a couple bad weekends in a hurry around here. What type of hitter? When I say what type of hitter, we know what type of hitter he is. What type of hitter is he mentally? Who is Wes Clark as a player? And what type of his ability to be able to bounce back from those type of games, those type of series? Because in this league, everybody has them.
Yeah, they do, and Wes is somebody who I've known for a little while, coming up through the Canes system that I work with, and he's certainly somebody who understands that there's going to be highs and lows. Like he's not going to be the one to ride the emotional roller coaster. There's going to be a few times of frustration when things aren't going well, but he's not going to have a lot of bad at bats. There may be some bad swings here and there, but there's not going to be a lot of bad at bats for that guy. And he to me, like, he had a rough series against Mercer and had a good series against Texas, and you wouldn't know that by really looking at the numbers. But he's smart enough to kind of understand that. And obviously everybody kind of got dominated those first couple of days against Vanderbilt, but he's come back since then and strung together some good at bats. And obviously he was 0 for a long time in SEC play, a lot longer than anybody thought he would be. But I anticipate a good stretch for him going forward. I think it started against Florida, and I think he'll continue that. He's too mature of a hitter, too advanced of a hitter. He's got too strong of a mindset to ride much of a emotional roller coaster with how he performs. I anticipate he's going to continue to have a very good season.
All right, here's the bad news for Carolina baseball. They have lost 10 of 11 against the Georgia Bulldogs. It is always tough for them to go to Athens and win, John. I think the last time that they went to Athens and won a series, if I'm correct on this, is 2010. It's been a while. Of course, they went on to win the national championship that year as well. But historically, they don't play well over there. I mentioned they've lost 10 of 11. They've lost 6 straight in the series. I've been to Athens. I've been to Foley before and seen the Gamecocks play. It's a tough little atmosphere. It's a great rivalry. Georgia takes this personally. The fraternity dudes down the right field line, they do their homework, and they talk about your girlfriend and your mama and this, that, and the other. But outside of that, why is it so difficult for South Carolina, and what is their challenge this weekend? Obviously, they're rolling with that sweep over the Gators, but to keep it going, you got to go win 2 of 3. What type of challenge is in front of them?
Well, I mean, it's certainly a difficult one. Georgia did turn over a lot of their roster from last year. They've got a freshman starting on Friday. They've got a preseason All-American on Saturday who's been around for a long time, and Ryan Webb. But they lost a lot of their pitchers from a team last year that was absolutely, in my opinion, a College World Series kind of team. But it's taken them a little bit, to kind of rebound, and they've had some success against South Carolina when they haven't had success against other teams. And I can't really pinpoint the reasoning for that, but they're typically pretty good. And these last few years, they've gotten a lot better. I think Scott Strickland has done a really good job of building that program the right way. And it's sometimes hard to have a quick turnaround in baseball because the recruiting process is so different in that sport than it is with football and basketball in terms of when players are committing. It's very common now for high school freshmen to commit to baseball programs, and just like basketball, when a kid is committed, college coaches back off and don't recruit. It's not like football. So, these kids are committing so early when you're a new coaching staff. It's hard to get in there and build those relationships to get kids to come into your program who are immediate difference makers. You have to go into the JUCO ranks and kind of bridge that gap a little bit. And we know that sometimes JUCOs work and sometimes don't. But Georgia has done a nice job and Scott Strickland there has done a really nice job of building that program. They've been really good the last few years. And while I do think that they are a little bit young in some ways this year, they still have some pretty good players, and they've pitched really well over the course of the season. They're fourth in the league in ERA at 3.0. They've been okay offensively as well. They're mid-pack in a lot of in a lot of the categories in the SEC. So, like you said, South Carolina hasn't had a whole lot of success there here in recent years. But it's going to be another tough one this weekend. But South Carolina's certainly faced some difficult challenges these last 3 weeks with Texas, Vandy, and Florida, and it has held their own despite the record against the first two teams. Have held their own a lot, and I do think that they're in good position and a good frame of mind right now going into the series this weekend.
They're certainly prepared. There's no question about that. And balls can leave the yard at Foley as well. We'll see if Wes Clark and others can get one up and out of there. I still remember when Phil Disher broke a limb in left center field back in 2008, I think it was, over there. But Carolina got swept that weekend as well. All right, last few minutes here with you, John, and then we'll let you run. Let's turn the page to basketball. So we were talking about you yesterday, JC and Darren and myself, and the fact that I believe it was last week, might have been the week before, we had spoken with you, and you mentioned that, look, transfers are coming. Just expect it, whether Frank Martin is here or not. There's players leaving this program for a multitude of reasons, and we've now seen 3 of them by way of transfer. We'll see what happens with Keyshawn Bryant, and from what I understand, there's probably a couple of more names and guys we need to keep an eye on. But TJ Moss has exited stage left. Trey Hannibal has exited as well, and who am I missing? Who's the third one?
Jalen McCreary.
Jalen McCreary. So, look, we've gone round and round with the Frank Martin situation over the last few days. There's really nothing else to say. Nothing's official yet, but more than likely he's coming back unless Roy Williams is retiring to come to South Carolina. So I'm kidding. So more than likely, he's going to be here. But with this roster, John, it's not done with the turnover, right? Isn't that to be expected over the next couple of weeks? We need to continue to expect to see kids depart the program, and probably should keep our eyes on some newbies from the transfer portal as well. What are you hearing in regards to the roster and what it's going to shape up to be?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely more turnover. Absolutely more turnover, and you're going to see guys, like we talked about, going in a variety of different ways. I mean, I think you see A.J. Lawson more than likely leave the program to go the professional route. Keyshawn Bryant, Justin Minaya. I think all 3 of those guys are probably going to end up playing professional basketball somewhere next year instead of basketball with the Gamecocks. And it's not out, and you're going to see more players in the portal. I'm not going to say it's not out of the question. It's certainly going to happen. 2, 3, maybe 4 more guys. I mean, there's gonna continue to be more attrition within this program. And I posted on our message board several days ago. When consolidating the list of players that the coaches didn't feel like could continue to compete here with the list of players who have expressed heavily the intention to transfer, there were only 3 scholarship players left on the roster. So while I don't expect 13 players, while I don't expect the ultimate number to be 10 players leaving the program, I expect a lot more than 3. A half a dozen's probably, if I were setting an over-under, it'd probably be 6. That's, I'm not going to say that that's going to be commonplace in basketball, there's certainly, but I do anticipate the numbers of transfers increasing, at least in the short term, among college programs. But this is certainly going to be very heavy attrition this year, just because of the state of the program and the timing of some things with the recruiting class, and it's going to continue to happen. There's going to be several more players in the transfer portal stories going up on the Big Spur, and there's going to be some guys who end up going the professional route, who probably don't put their name in the portal, but end up leaving to play professional basketball. So, exactly the timing of when each person is going to end up doing it, I'm not real sure on that, but it's not going to be a quiet few weeks.
John, there are fans who are blaming the USC administration, no matter how it doesn't matter to how we got to the point of Frank Martin returning anymore. It's inevitable. It looks like that's going to happen, but there are fans who are blaming the administration for these transfers, basically saying, well, because you brought Frank back, everybody's leaving the program. How would you respond to fans who think that is true?
Well, I mean, there's certainly some truth to it. There's certainly some players who need a different start and need a different voice, need to do something different. I mean, there's players that's not working out here for, and that's to be expected. I don't think that there's too many guys who just legitimately don't like Frank who are leaving just because of him. But sometimes styles just don't mesh together. But some of these guys have also wanted to go play professional basketball here too. So that's going to be part of the reason for the departure. There were probably some guys who would be back if there were a change made, depending on who the coach was. But I expected some attrition regardless of the outcome of the resolution of Frank Martin being the head coach here or not. I mean, there were certainly some guys who are going to be leaving regardless, and a couple. I'm sure that there are a couple of guys who are leaving the program because of the outcome as well. So it's a balance between the two, but it is what it is at this point. Like you said, it's likely that Frank Martin is going to be back next year. I'm not gonna put 100% on it just because he's still looking for jobs. I mean, from the very start of this, we said that Frank Martin wants a new contract and wants that stability, and for various reasons. And who can blame him? When you get down to 2 years on your contract, it can create problems and instability. So I get it. And if there's a school out there who wants to hire him, then he's certainly going to listen and see what kind of contract he can get at whatever school. So the basketball coaching carousel is still turning, as we continue to see even today. So I don't know if there's a job that's going to be the right fit for Frank that comes open or not. But even though it looks like right now he's going to be back, I'm not willing to say it's 100% absolutely certain. I would just say it's pretty likely.
DePaul has filled their position with Oregon assistant coach Tony Stubblefield, but Texas Tech's job has now opened. Is it fair to think that Texas Tech could have some potential interest in Frank Martin, or Frank Martin might have interest in Texas Tech? Is it fair to think that way at this point?
I mean, I can't see Texas Tech wanting to come after Frank at this point. I mean, I'm sure Frank would be interested in that job. One job that I'm keeping an eye on from Frank's standpoint in Cincinnati. He's been a finalist up there before, and depending on who you talk to, he was offered that job up there before and decided to stay here. But there would be a lot of interest, I think, there on both sides if that job were to come open. So that's one I'm kind of monitoring. Of course, it's not open yet, but we'll we'll see. And I don't know that Frank would be the right fit this time around either. You know, he's obviously a guy who's known for, you know, hard coaching, I guess is a way to phrase it. And, you know, if Cincinnati does end up making a change, part of it is going to be because of some allegations towards that coaching staff as it relates to that player abuse and that kind of deal. So, you know, I don't know that would be the right move for Cincinnati, but is one that I'm certainly going to keep an eye on going forward. And, you know, who knows what else may end up coming open.
John Whittle with thebigspur.com covers it as well as anybody out there. Obviously, right now, it's big time in Gamecock athletics with baseball doing what they're doing. Spring practice is in the air, and we're in the thick of that. And, of course, John, the men's basketball situation, and nobody can forget that South Carolina, by this time next week, might have another national championship in women's basketball, and clearly your staff has that covered inside and out. As well. We're looking forward to the weekend to see what comes about. Obviously, we'll keep an eye on all the news with the basketball programs. And we thank you, as we always do, for your time. Happy opening day, J-Dub. And we look forward to following your coverage this weekend with Gamecock baseball.
Who's your team?
I know as bad as it sounds, I don't really have a team anymore. You know, I grew up loving to watch the Braves on TBS and grew up loving to watch the Cubs on WGN.
Yep.
You know, as I've gotten older, I just kind of gravitate and being in the baseball world as long as I have, I end up pulling for the guys and some of the relationships I have with those folks who are in pro ball now more so than any team in particular. So I've just gotten to the point where I enjoy just watching good baseball and following some of the guys who I've gotten to know over the last, I'm getting old now, over the last dozen or so years, 15 years. So that's been what I've enjoyed the most about baseball right now.
I'm with you on that. No doubt about it. Thanks, John. We really appreciate it, brother. Have a wonderful weekend.
Definitely, y'all as well. Take care.
Later.
John Whittle with thebigspur.com. Real quick, funny side story here before we hit a timeout and get Scott Glaze in late. I'm sorry about that, Scott. Miguel Cabrera hit a home run, but it is pouring snow in Detroit between the Indians and the Tigers. He didn't know the ball went over the wall, so he slid into second base like it was a double, and the umpire had to get him up and tell him to keep going.
He just wanted to get dirt on the pants, make it look like he's playing hard.
Oh, man, 2021. Welcome back, baseball. That is too funny. Really good stuff there. All right, got to hit a timeout. Final segment of the afternoon. We'll get into some golf with Scott Glaze when we return.
Peace and love at Stokes Dub.
This is Mike Mazzell for Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate Road. Whatever you got planned this week, cancel it. 72 new Volkswagens will be sold in the next 72 hours at whatever price it takes. I repeat, 72 new Volkswagens will be sold in the next 72 hours. To the first 72 car buyers interested in saving up to $6,000 on a new Volkswagen for 3 days only. Every new Volkswagen and pre-owned vehicle at our bottom line price. Direct to the public, regardless of profit. Qualified purchases with interest-free financing for 60 months, and all trade-ins will be accepted. Interested parties should arrive early for best selection. You will not find a lower price anywhere in the country. 72-hour Volkswagen clearance, savings up to $6,000, 3 days only at Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate Road or StokesVW.com.
Peace and love at Stokes Dub.
$16.66 per month per $1,000 borrowed for 60 months at 0% APR with 0 down plus tax. Tag includes $499.50 administration fee subject to VCI credit approval. Expires month end.
What's up, everyone? JB here. Want to tell you about my friends at Mcfadden Pest Control, as we do every day on our program. I love these guys. They've been in business over 40 years, and they treat our family like they've only been around for 4 days. Always doing their best work, trying to earn our business, although they know that they'll always have it. Heath and the guys take care of our quarterly, our mosquitoes, termite bonds, anything we can get them to do, they do it. They're the best. They're friends. Heath even often texts me and just asks to see how my family's doing. It's amazing. I can't say enough about Mcfadden Pest Control. Switch to them. You'll never have anyone else protect your home. McFaddenPestControl.com, McFaddenPestControl.com here in the Low Country.
Guys, spring is finally in the air. You know what that means? Basketball in its home stretch. March Madness promotion at Dog and Duck's 3 locations in Mount Pleasant, Bell Hall, Park West, and Clements Ferry Road. From now until the end of the tournament, $5 Sweetwater pints. That's right. Every Sweetwater, just $5 at Dog and Duck, Park West, Bell Hall, and their Clements Ferry location. Plus, baseball spring training, college baseball, spring football. It's all available at Dog and Duck's 3 locations in Mount Pleasant.
Play ball! Hey, South Carolina, what's going on? This is Patrick Davis, and you are listening to my friends JB and Darren on the JB and Goldwater Show.
He's got his Braves pennant up. Good for Scott Glaze, golf pro out there at Stono Ferry. Final 15 minutes of our program with him. I just watched that video of Miggy, by the way, sliding what he thought was a double. That is hilarious stuff. Quick news out of Conway. Coastal Carolina has paused all baseball activities for the next 7 days. 5 contests have been postponed. That includes this weekend series against App State and next Tuesday and Wednesday against UNC Wilmington and the College of Charleston due to COVID protocols within their program. Keep in mind, CSU plays today in a Thursday-Friday series this weekend, but Coastal will not be playing for about a week. Have you ever played golf in the snow, Scott?
No, absolutely not.
Like, what type of crazy questions that?
How difficult would that be?
Come on, my blood is too thin for that. If it gets below 50, I'm not a fan of getting out there. I will if I have to, but yeah, definitely not played in the snow. However, when we did have that snowstorm a few years ago, we got some really, really cool pictures of the golf course. Certainly never before seen of Stono Ferry in a blanket of snow like that.
Well, on top of the cold, how the hell do you find your golf ball if it's pouring snow out there? I mean, I can't find mine when it's sunny and 70, let alone when it's snowing outside. All right, let's get into some stuff here, Scott, because we've got about 15 minutes with you today, and we do have a lot that we want to get to. By the way, it's going to be a perfectly beautiful weekend to go play golf. StonoFerryGolf.com to book your tee times now. All right, so we've got the Augusta National Women's Amateur playing right now, Scott. You've also got the On-Inspirational Women's Golf that's teed off today. This is a huge week for women's golf. In Augusta National, quick state note, 4 ladies from the University of South Carolina's golf team. One of them is the 3rd-ranked amateur in the world. They're participating at the women's amateur. This has been around for 3 or 4 years now. What does this tournament mean to women's golf? What do you think and maybe in 5 years, I know we've already seen the impacts, but more so in 5 or 6 years, once some of these ladies are into pro golf and they establish themselves as some of the best players in the world, what do you think that this tournament is going to do for this sport?
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, this is the event in amateur golf for women.
Oh no, your pennant fell down.
I hope that's
can't be a good omen.
Yeah, exactly. I hope
that happened once before, a couple of months ago. Maybe your Thunder thing. I don't remember what it was.
We only get opening day once a year, so I had to switch it out to the Braves there. I really hope that's not a bad omen, and if it is, don't blame it on me. But gosh, the AMWA this is only the 2nd time we've had it. It was canceled in 2020 due to COVID.
Right.
And in 2019, in its debut, it instantly became the event in women's amateur golf. That's saying a lot, showing how much Augusta National means to the game of golf. It is the event to play in. I think this event's going to be huge. It already is huge, and it's going to be a staple for women's golf. It's really going to catch a lot of eyeballs and introduce women who the casual golf fans don't know and introduce them before they become household names. We saw this in 2019 with Jennifer Kupcho, who ended up winning, edging out Maria Fassi, who then transitioned a few months later into the U.S. Women's Open, were stars. People wanted to watch them play. We were there at the Women's Open, and that group had huge galleries solely because of the ANWA, the Augusta National Women's Amateur. Because the final day is held at Augusta National, it just holds so much weight and gets a lot of eyeballs and a lot of attention, and really help catapult those two in their career. And it's going to help catapult another handful. I wish it was more than just a handful, but the winner, the top 5, let's say, from this event, then take that as a springboard into the LPGA Tour. They're going to become instant stars because of the way that we're going to fall in love with them over the course of this weekend, playing such a wonderful place as Augusta National, which we have not seen before 2019 in the women's game. It's huge. We saw the honorary tee shots in 2019, Lorena Ochoa, Nancy Lopez, just huge figures. And I know I'm missing a few there. I just can't remember off the top of my head, but just huge figures in the women's game. And it's going to be huge for the game of golf. And thank goodness, because it's about time that the women's game gets the attention that it deserves. So massive couple of weeks in the women's game. Last week, the Kia Classic is a big event that leads into this week's ANA Inspiration, which is the first major championship of the year in the world of golf. It beats the Masters out by 1 week. It's known, or formerly known as the Dinah Shore, and the champion takes the plunge there into the pond next to the 18th green. We had a little controversy here last year. Well, I don't know if it was so much controversy, but there's notoriously a grandstand right behind the green on 18 out at oh gosh, what is the name of this golf course? Meredith Taylor's going to kill me for not out in the National Garage.
You talking about Mission Hills?
Mission Hills. So anyway, there's notoriously a grandstand behind the green there, and with COVID, when we had this event in September, there was no grandstand, but they basically kept a wall behind the green. So players would just bomb it through the green because there was no risk of penalty of hitting it in the water. They could kind of put it up against this fake grandstand, get relief, and it potentially could have changed the outcome of the event. But we do have major championship golf this week, and that's always exciting regardless of what form it comes in.
Real quick, out there at the ANA, I'm pretty sure I'm saying this correctly. Yuka Sasso is leading at 4 under through 12. She is a shot ahead of Bronte Law, as a matter of fact, who sits at 3 under. And in Augusta, it is Rose Zhang. She is an American, now at 3 under. She is one of 3 ladies right now in the ANWA under par. That's it. Nobody else is under par. Just 3. She's 3 under through 2 under today through 13, but 3 under for the tournament. Boys and girls, she is 17 years old. Unbelievable right now.
And finished, she made the cut as a 15-year-old in 2019. So she got to play Augusta National in 2019. Only the top 30 in the ANWA after today. And there will be a playoff. If we have a tie and we have more, if we don't have an even 30, there will be a playoff to see who gets in to be able to play Augusta National on Saturday.
Right.
But yeah, Rose Zhang got in as a 15-year-old. I think that's going to be big as this weekend. The players that had experience 2 years ago, that's going to be really exciting to watch this afternoon as we try to cut to those 30 players. And also, I don't know if my leaderboard is as up to date as yours, JB, but shout out to Michelle Wee West. I'm showing that she's 3 under, that she's 1 back at the ANA. She missed the cut last week, did not play well in her return to professional golf, but playing well so far. I think that would be a really cool story after her absence from professional golf, getting married, having a child, and that's really great to see her back and playing really well today.
Yeah, that actually just changed. She just went to 3 under, and Law dropped a shot. There's a bunch at 2 under, including Nelly Corda. Actually, as a matter of fact, Lexi Thompson is right there at 1 under as well. So, yeah, the AOA out there at Mission Hills is A&A, excuse me, is well underway, and it's going to be a lot of fun to follow that this weekend. I think Sunday's going to be a lot of fun in that tournament. We'll say also on the men's side, let's get to the men. Spieth is 6 under today. He's 6 under. I think he's finished as high as runner-up at the Valero in his career. Obviously, they're playing in San Antonio, Texas. We all know what's coming. It is the Masters. He's 3 shots ahead of Scotty Scheffler, Brendan Steele, and Vaughn Taylor at this point in time. How important is this weekend for Jordan Spieth with Augusta coming up next?
A lot of people are predicting Spieth to win next week. I am nowhere close to making my pick for that. My pick for the A&A, while we transition off of that, is going to be Nelly Corda. Also, watch out for Lexi Thompson. Lexi dominates this event. Hasn't been able to get it done recently, but Nelly Corda just nearly lost last year. I think she's going to become a major champion this week. Jordan Spieth, this is huge for Jordan to gather momentum and gain even more confidence going into a place where he is uber confident as Augusta National. In his young career, Spieth has done some really, really special things at Augusta. Tied the, at the time, all-time low scoring mark when he won in his second appearance. He competed in his first appearance. I think that was 2014 when Bubba won. Spieth was right there the whole time. Then he won then in 2015. He was right there then in 2016 with a chance to repeat. That was when he had the kind of meltdown on the 12th hole. We saw him, I think it was 2018. That was Patrick Reed's year where he just went bonkers on Sunday and almost came from way back to win. So he's going to a place where he's very comfortable. However, he's playing much better golf than he has in the last few years. He's got a 3-shot lead right now on a Thursday. This golf course is playing tough. He's 3 shots up on Scotty Scheffler and a couple others. He is playing really good golf. There was a stat that I saw earlier this week that compares Jordan's strokes gained ranking compared to his Masters finish. So his strokes gained total for the calendar year heading into the Masters. If Jordan was, I believe it was in the top 15, he finished top 5 or won the Masters. The last few years, his strokes gained heading into the Masters his ranking has been in the 100s. This year is 10th. So I really, really think you need to watch out for Spieth, not only this week, but next week. The only thing I would be a little worried about if you're a Spieth fan or if you're picking him next week, it is really, really hard to win a golf tournament. To steal Joel Damon's quote, who won last week, at Corrales for the first time in 111 starts, it is really freaking hard to win a golf tournament. And so it is super hard to win. Not only is it really hard to then win back-to-back weeks, it's even the most tough to win back-to-back weeks when the second leg of that is a major championship. So don't want to see Jordan peak too early. If he does it, great. We've seen people do it, win back-to-back weeks, and the second being the major championship. But I'm really impressed with what I see from Jordan. He's kind of getting his swagger back, and this week is going to be key for that, to see if he can ride that wave all the way through next Sunday.
Who else are you keeping an eye on this week in anticipation of the Masters coming up next week?
Well, he's looking really, really good right now. Scotty Scheffler. I think it's always tough to, like I just said, it's tough to win the week before a major and then expect to go contend in the majors. So just solely for this week, I think it's a good week for Scotty Scheffler, coming off a big payday for him. He won about $1.2 million by finishing runner-up there last week at the match play. He's a young player. That's a kickstart for his career. Not a lot of huge names in this field. Guys are just going to kind of hone the game, get ready for Augusta. I don't think many of your favorites, other than Spieth. looking at the field right now, I think Spieth is probably the only guy this week who's going to go into Augusta next week and be considered a favorite. Dustin Johnson was supposed to play this week and withdrew. So, man, there's a huge list of names of guys that can go win next week. And the rumor is that Augusta is playing really, really firm and fast, unlike the Augusta that we've seen from the last 2 years. The last 2 years have been a scoring fest. Dustin in November set this all-time scoring record at Augusta National. But the rumors is playing very difficult, very unique to the way Augusta usually plays. And we could have a similar scenario to the year that Zach Johnson won. I believe Zach Johnson might have been the only guy to finish under par. So that would be an exciting Masters to watch and would bring a lot of different players into the field.
Well, Dustin's been busy this week. He had to roll out his Masters Club dinner, which appetizers are pigs in a blanket and lobster and corn fritters. The first course is either a house or Caesar salad. Your family-style sides are mashed potatoes and spring veggies. Main course, filet mignon and miso-marinated sea bass. And, of course, dessert, peach cobbler and apple pie with vanilla ice cream. This is all served in honor of Mr. Dustin Johnson, one of the great traditions at the Masters. So, well, I guess, Scott, I don't know which one of you two is driving next week, but we'll head that way.
Hey, that's a solid menu. I'm proud of DJ for putting that together. I mean, that's pretty good menu.
Good for him, man. It's got some Southern flavor to it, as it should. It's in Augusta, Georgia. All right, do we have a video this week?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
What are we
do have a video.
What are we watching?
So we're back on the putting green this week. I think putting is a real art form. I was kind of thinking of how important putting is at Augusta National. Maybe the most diabolical greens on tour. And anybody who wins at the Masters or any major championship for that has got to be a great putter. Speaking of Jordan Spieth, when he plays well at Augusta, he putts really well. Putting is artistry, and we have to have a lot of feel and touch and imagination. A lot of people don't realize when they read the greens that the speed in which you hit the putt determines how much the ball breaks. So this video kind of shows that there's more than one way to make a putt.
Putting is an art form. It takes imagination, creativity, touch, and feel to be a great putter. There's no one way to do it. A lot of people don't know that how firmly you hit the putt dictates how much the putt will break. If we hit a putt with less speed, it will break more. As we see in the first example, I hit a putt with less speed. I started outside of the hole. It's able to curl into the hole. If we hit it with more speed, it will break less. As you can see. Second example where the ball does not start outside of the hole. It's the back of the cup and rattles in. This is very important when we're reading greens to know what type of putter we are. If we like to lag the ball up to the hole, or if we like to slam it in the back. However, golf is a game of inches. If we don't line it up, we'll be seeing lip outs like that.
So as always, if you need help, come see me. Play better golf, and keep it in the short grass.
Oh, look at that editing, man. I'm impressed.
That's brutal, man. That thing makes my stomach churn every time I watch it.
Well, what is the most, like, I hear, and I know we're a couple minutes past time, but that's okay. Darren and I run this program. We do whatever the hell we want around here. What is, I hear this often in putting. Don't leave it short. Don't leave it short. How important is that? And, like, when does that really come into play? I mean, aren't there times you're like, God, you don't want to go long here. You're going to go right off the green. I mean, like but I feel like people say that all the time. Don't leave it short. Don't leave it short. What exactly does that mean?
I would say on any type of makeable putt, anything. Now our percentages from about 20 feet or from 20 feet to make that putt are very slim. Even the odds on the PGA Tour are very slim from a 20-foot mark. Really, anything outside of 10 feet. The PGA Tour average make percentage from 10 feet from the hole is only about 35%. So these guys are not making – you see the guys on TV, the guys that are winning the golf tournament, seems like they make everything. Well, they're winning the golf tournament. They're on TV. You're not seeing the guys that are missing a lot of putts. One guy we didn't talk about with the Masters is Ricky Fowler. He's probably going to miss the Masters this year because he's playing poor golf. He's not making a lot of putts. But I would say it's important when we have a putt that we feel like is makeable. You want to get the ball to the hole. It can't go in if it doesn't get there. If you've got a 50-foot putt, you can leave that thing a foot short. That's fine. That's a nice, easy tap in. That's what we want. So when we're reading the greens, we want to take into effect how firmly we're going to hit the putt. Some people are very aggressive putters, and they will run the ball on, let's say, a 15-footer. If they miss, they'll run it 3 or 4 feet past the cup. There are some people that really like to dive the ball into the hole and just have it drip over the edge. There are 2 different reads for those type of putts. They don't show the graphic anymore, but they used to on the PGA Tour, just kind of show the cone of dispersion for how the putt can go in based on speed. So that's kind of what this video shows. And if you realize the type of speed that you're going to use, that'll help you when you read greens.
And if you're like Happy Gilmore and you forget about putting, you need to go to StoneO'FerryGolf.com so you can book yourself a lesson with Scott Glaze and get better at it. You know, the whole, putting thing. It kind of sucks when you run it up and down the fairway and then you get to the green and you're like, yeah, this is going to take me 3 or 4 of these to get it in there. That's not how you want to play golf. That's generally how I play it. StoneO'FerryGolf.com, and that is where you can find all the information for Scott Glaze to check yourself into golf rehab. He will get you out of the funk, certainly, by giving you a lesson or multiple of them to beat your friends and take all their money and things like that. You can also book your tee times at StoneO'FerryGolf.com. You can call them at 843-763-1817, 843-763-1817. And the rain's gone. We're not going to see a drop of rain for the next probably week or so around here. So get out there now. It's going to be a little bit cooler this weekend, which is wonderful to go play golf. Beautiful springtime. I'm sure the azaleas are popping out at Stone O'Ferry just like they are in Augusta, Georgia.
Oh yeah. Oh man, it's beautiful. I love I'll have to take a picture of the azaleas, but yeah, come on out and see us. We actually do have some availability this weekend because it is Easter weekend and some people have plans. So if you don't have plans, come see us. And last little bit on putting, you're going to hit a driver 14 times maximum in a round. You're going to have at least double the number of putts. So don't overlook.
18 is only 4 more than 14.
If you have 18 putts, Darren, I'm coming to take a lesson from
you. Hey, just give me one of those big checks over there. Just give me one of the big ones.
Yep.
Oh, man. Well, Scott, wonderful stuff. Obviously, there's a lot going on in the golf world, both men and women. It was an incredibly important week, as our friend Meredith Taylor actually just pointed out a little while ago. She said the best weekend in women's golf is here. I think I agree with her. It's an important week as well, so we'll follow along with that over the next few days. And then, of course, next week, it is Masters Week, and we really cannot wait to talk to you about that. Finally, the Masters is back in April, which is fantastic. So we're looking forward to it all. Scott, have a wonderful weekend. Again, StoneO'FerryGolf.com for golf rehab and to book your tee times and much, much more. And we'll check in here in just a few days, bud. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, guys. Have a happy Easter.
You too, man.
Yes, sir. You too. Happy Easter, Scott Glaze. And when I mean golf rehab, I just mean getting better in golf. I don't mean actual, you know what I'm saying.
I mean, I'm sure there are some wives out there who think their husbands need golf rehab because they're playing too much, but
that's right.
It's a good problem to have.
Tip of the cap to Roy Williams. A 33-year coaching career is now finished. We'll have some more on that tomorrow. I bet Rafael Esparza has next odds on the UNC basketball coach.
Yeah, you should.
See what he thinks about that. And much, much more. We're going to try to check in with Derek Scott tomorrow, so keep your eyes peeled on all this Carolina hoop stuff. Got a big weekend of baseball coming. It's going to be a lot of fun around here on a Friday. Thanks to John Whittle, thanks to Cory McCartney, Scott Glaze, and to you, Darren Goldwater, and everybody for watching and listening. Have a thirsty and terrific Thursday afternoon at the Dog and Duck while you watch baseball. And we'll see you tomorrow at noon on the JB and Goldwater Show, driven by Stokes Volkswagen.